If you grew up in the 80s, you grew up with a lot of good TV and even some good science fiction stuff to watch on television. But there was a lot of bad ones. Today we're going to look at 20, you heard me right, 20 failed science fiction TV shows of the 80s. Now when Star Wars hit the big screen in the late 70s, all the TV networks wanted their Star Wars. Of course you had Battlestar Galactica, which was in production before Star Wars, but you can see where they hyped it up to capture the Star Wars feel. And then you had Buck Rogers, remember that one? Buck Rogers. And for us 70s kids, Saturday morning we have a live action TV show called Jason of Star Command. In the 80s, just could never really give us a good hit science fiction show. Now don't get me wrong, there were some. There was, of course, Quantum Leap, that started in the 80s. That was a great science fiction show. There was also, of course, Star Trek The Next Generation. That's an 80s good classic science fiction show. Then they remade Twilight Zone. Well, not new, with new stories, you know, brought it back out. And it was pretty good too. So there was some good science fiction stuff in the 80s to watch on TV. But today we're going to look at 20 of them that failed. These ones that hardly got, most of them didn't even get 10 episodes. A few of them did manage to get a couple, 20, a little bit more than 20. So I guess that was kind of successful on their end. I mean, it's better than having 3 or 4. But let's start and do this list in order. And let's go to 1980, where we had a spinoff of a 70s show because fans wrote in and said they wanted more of it after it got canceled. And of course, we're talking about the Lauren Green show, Battlestar Galactica. Like I said, it got canceled in the late 70s, but 1980 they brought it back, but just wasn't the same. Galactica, 1980. That's right, it's kind of got a different name. It's a spin-off series, and this one finds the crew going back in time, landing back on Earth. They have to get Earth ready for the Cylons fixing to attack. It just wasn't the same. We wanted Battlestar Galactica, Battle in the Stars. But no, we got a watered down version in 1980. It would only last for 10 episodes, ending with the episode The Return of Starbuck. As much as fans wanted something epic with the return of Battlestar Galactica, of course we didn't get it. And you know that they went back to Earth just to save money on budget. That way they could just film it on Earth during the 80s. And now we're going to talk about a hit movie that became a spin-off television series. You'll see a lot of these on the list. So let's stay right here in 1980. And we're going to take a look at a sequel of sorts to Westworld, a great science fiction movie of its time. This was Beyond Westworld, written and directed by Michael Crichton. Now this show takes place after the events we saw in the classic film Westworld, but it seems to ignore the 1976 sequel Future World. In this, security officer John Moore has to stop the evil scientist Simon Quaid, who is planning to use the robots to take over the world. The show would only last 5 episodes. 2 of those 5 didn't even air. Didn't even get them all. I think they released them all on DVD in case you did want to see this. Maybe you can watch them that way. Well, we're done with 1980, but we're going to dig into 1981 now. Well, I don't even remember this one. There's a few on the list I never even heard of. So, how about this one right here? Do you know this one?
Long ago, in a remote corner of the world, ancient astronauts landed from a distant planet with a gift for mankind.
The 1982 television show The Phoenix. The series premiered March 19, 1982, but would only last 5 episodes. The show would star Justin Scott and E.G. Marshall. The plot revolved around an ancient extraterrestrial who was discovered in Peru and awakened in the 20th century. A made-for-TV movie would kick off the series April of 1981. Like I said, I never heard of this one, but only 5 episodes. What can you imagine? I mean, if I just had to be home those 5 days, I wouldn't have saw it back in 1981. And who knows, I might have been watching Dallas, forced to by my parents, of course. And here's one I do remember, although, of course, it's a failed show. That's why we're talking about it.
Quadris, 12 light years across the galaxy from Earth. It was home for us until an intergalactic armada conquered it.
The Powers of Matthew Starr. This is one of those that get mentioned a lot when people talk about, hey, you remember that science fiction show from the 80s that got canceled? Most people bring up this one. The show would actually last one season, running 22 episodes. I'm guessing that's why a lot of people remember it. The show would star Peter Barton and Lucia Gossett Jr. The title character of the show was Matthew Starr, who was a prince from another planet, and he would use his power to fight crime. In 2002, TV Guide would rank this as the 50th worst television show of all times. Can't be that bad, can it? I mean, it lasted a whole season. It's not like some of these shows, like this one right here, that only lasted 6 episodes, released in 1982. QED was the name of this show. It's not even a good name. Sam Waterston will star in this epic about a professor that was a scientific director, kind of like Sherlock Holmes. According to characters on the show, the letters QED stood for quite easily done. The show had kind of a steampunk feel before steampunk was a thing. Steampunk. I kind of know it when I see it, but I don't know what steampunk. I know it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird right there. But you know what's weird is this show here. I remember this show because I hated a little kid on it. He was always on the. It's like I remember the TV guy. I hated his big old fro. I just didn't like this kid in anything. I saw him in a lot of stuff back then. And we're talking about the television show Voyagers. Voyagers were aired in 1982 and last 20 episodes. One of the stars of this show would be Mino. This guy right here with the fro. Oh, I don't know why this kid bothers me so much as a kid. It's kind of like an early version of Quantum Leap. I mean, this time traveler is bouncing around through time using a handheld device. That looks like a pocket watch. It flashes red when history is wrong and green when the timeline is correct. The travel in time ensures that history unfolds as it should have. Sounds exciting, doesn't it? Well, it lasted one season. Maybe if that kid got a haircut, it would have lasted longer. Now, one thing big in the 80s was Tron. Well, it wasn't really that big of a movie, but I guess TV wanted their version of Tron, so we got it. In another show, people talk about, hey, do you remember that crap? Yeah, it comes up a lot. Automan. Yeah, the fake Tron TV show. Glenn A. Larson produced a lot of great television shows in the 70s and 80s, but one of them wasn't Automan. This would air in 1983 and only have 12 episodes. Automan follows the adventure of a police officer and a computer programmer who creates an AI crime-fighting computer program. And this AI program can leave his computer world and help fight crime. The world just wasn't ready for Automan. I mean, look at this thing. It just looks bad. Now, it's did star Desi Arnaz. Oh, excuse me, Desi Arnaz Jr. It would also co-star Chuck Wagner, whoever that is. Now, this is going to be a bad one. This is going to be a bad one here. You remember that dog? I mean, you had Lassie, you had Ren 1010, you even had Air Bud. But we also had Benji. We try to forget that dog. When you talk famous TV or movie dogs, you try to forget Benji. Well, Benji came back and tried to bring Benji back in the early 80s as a science fiction hero. With Benji, Zack, and the Alien Prince. This is some god-awful crap right here. The show would last 13 episodes and premiere in 1983. Believe it or not, CBS wanted to air this thing. Now, I will say this was Saturday morning CBS. This thing wasn't prime time. I mean, CBS wasn't that stupid. It seems Benji, living his best life on Earth, has ran into this Prince Alien kid and his robot friend that looks kind of like a McDonald's hamburger. I mean, I ain't much else I can say. They just get in wacky adventures. Well, they did for 13 episodes. And if you ask me, that was 13 too many episodes. Now let's talk about something good. And this one's really good. You can say, Junkman, this doesn't count. This was a FLTV show. Because we're talking about the series. Now, a year before the series came out, there was a TV movie. And it was hyped up. It was one of those like 3-part epic TV movies you got to watch. And everybody at school was talking about it. And it was awesome. V. And then we finally got a television show in 1984. But No, it just didn't hit the same. Started out pretty good, and then they started getting cheap with the budget and everything. Lasted 19 episodes. Yeah, only 19 episodes. That's why it's on this list. Now stars the regulars for the TV movie. I mean, you've got Mark Singer. Who didn't love Mark Singer? You got Robert Englund before he was Freddy Krueger. But the show just couldn't capture what made the TV movie so good. Well, maybe just what made it be a weekly series. It directly follows the event of the second made-for-TV movie, V: The Final Battle. I just think it was just not enough V to go around. It was a cool concept. It was great for a TV movie and 2 or 3 parts, and then a year later you get the final battle. They should have just every couple of years brought V back as one of those 3-part movies that's made for television. I think it would have done a lot better, but people still love V today. But here's something people don't love today: a TV show starring Courtney Cox, Misfits of Science.
Those misfits of science.
The title to me just sounds 80s, doesn't it? Anyway, this aired in 1985 and lasted 16 episodes. Not only would it star Courtney Cox, Kevin Peter Hall would also star with Dean Paul Martin. Yeah, you heard me right, Dean Paul Martin. I don't know who that is either. The series is about superpower humans and their madcap adventure. The team is formed by Dr. Hayes, a research scientist. Each superhero will have their own ability, and they would work together to fight crime, and they tried to understand their powers. I guess it's a cheap ripoff of Fantastic Four. Courtney Cox tried a long time to get a hit. It took her a long time to get friends. I mean, she was on Family Ties. She was on a bunch of stuff. Courtney Cox would pop up in a lot of stuff. But here's another one that got no love. Otherworld. Let's find out what this is.
Other worlds lie outside our seeing, beyond the beyond, at the edge of within.
Otherworld premiered in 1985 on CBS and stars Sam Gorn. The show would last 1 season, 8 episodes. However, it would go on to be shown in reruns on the Sci-Fi channel. Does that tell you anything about the quality of the TV show? And this, a family is transported to a parallel Earth and must find their way somehow to get back home. I guess they didn't get home because there's only 8 episodes. Sorry, maybe you can be like, oh, we demand more. Find out what happened to them. Nobody cares. But here's another out show, Outlaws. Outlaws would premiere at the very end of 1986, December 28th. So you can count this maybe as a 1987 show, but they only have 13 episodes. A group of 19th century outlaws, cowboy era, is transported into modern day Houston, Texas, where they become bounty hunters. Honestly, I don't know if that sounds badass or bad awful. I don't know, but it didn't last long, so maybe it was awful. But who knows, maybe it just didn't have a chance to find its audience. And we looked at some TV shows that were based on movies, and here's another one for you. And it stars the guy from Airplane. We're talking about Starman. Robert Hayes and the kid that would grow up to be a replacement Greg Brady, Christopher D. Barnes, based on the movie starring Jeff Bridges. And it takes place 15 years after that movie. Robert Hayes would play a clone of the Jeff Bridges character. Spoiler alert, he died in the movie. But they brought him back as a clone. And he would hang out with his teenage son, Scott, and they would try to avoid the U.S. government agents as they trying to find Scott's missing mother. That sounds excitingly awful. Now, we're up to 1986. You remember Laser Tag? I think it was a cartoon called Laser Tag. That's what I'm talking about. Was there a cartoon called Laser Tag? I'm just misremembering. But anyway, here's a TV show that tried to capitalize on Laser Tag.
Before there was time, there was Photon, the crystal energy force which creates and sustains life in our universe.
Photon, a live-action TV show that premiered in 1986. It ran, believe it or not, for 26 episodes. Now this will be a syndicated show aimed for kids. It's the type of show you see when you got home from school or maybe come on Saturday mornings. It will follow the adventures of a young high school student He would discover this laser tag game is actually a way to detect the strongest warriors in the galaxy. Seemed like they were mixing laser tag with The Last Starfighter. Along for the adventure would be an alien sidekick and lizard-like creature named Leon. Talk about toys in a TV show? Well, here's one where you get the toys and he interacted with the TV show. We're talking Captain Power and the Soldiers of Fortune and the Soldiers of the Future.
Power on. Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future.
22 episodes of this TV show would air, plus 3 cartoons and a TV movie. The storyline is set on Earth in the 22nd century, following the Metal War. Captain Power and a small group of fighters called the Soldiers of the Future opposed the machines trying to take over Earth. Now I give it to the show. Although it was aimed for kids, they tried to put some kind of more adult theme so the parents that watch it with their kids could get into this also, but just never really took off. There was a second series planned, but the show was canceled. Now I'm going to tell you about the Highwayman. And you're thinking, oh, all right, I love that band. Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings. But no, this is a spelled science fiction television show.
There is a world just beyond now where reality rides a razor-thin seam between fact and possibility.
This was another show created by Glenn A. Larson. Again, he's done a lot of good stuff, but The Highwayman wasn't one of them. The show would premiere in 1987 and run for 10 episodes. The show would follow the adventures of the Highwaymen. Each one of the Highwaymen would have their own truck that had a bunch of technical gear and made it very futuristic. I don't know who comes up with this stuff. Oh. Let's talk about one you do remember. Max Headroom. That's a horrible Max Headroom impression. Max Headroom. You're probably thinking, hey, that was a hit show, right? No, it wasn't. It only lasted 14 episodes. Max Headroom. What can I say about this? We all remember Max Headroom from the 80s on those commercials, and they just turned that into a TV show. It takes place in the future where people are obsessed with TVs. I don't know what else I can say about this. Just look at it. It's just a product of its time. We're not done yet because we're just at 1988, and we're going to look at the television show Probe. Uh-oh, cover your butthole. Parker Stevenson was back in this 1988 failed TV show that only lasted 8 episodes. Parker Stevenson plays a genius who solves high-tech crime. The show was a mid-season replacement. It was canceled after 2 months. And again, that's about all I can say about this. There's not much to say about these shows that only last a couple episodes. I mean, you get the gist of it right here. But there it is, Probe. They don't even try to give it a good name. Nobody wants to watch a TV show called Probe. Mom, I gotta get home and get probed. No. Well, let's look at 2 more right here. Here's another one. Something is out there. Ooh, I wonder what it is. In 1988, NBC aired Something is Out There. And it would be out there for 9 episodes. Jack, a police officer, is investigating a brutal murder which organs have been removed from the victims. And he learns that the crime is being committed by an alien. Not only is it an alien, it's a shape-shifting alien. He teams up with some aliens that have superhuman abilities, and together they try to stop this alien from, I don't know, taking people's body parts, I guess. It's hard getting through all these. But we did it! We got one more! I never even heard of this, but we're going to end it right here. 1989. 20 failed science fiction shows of the 80s. And here we are at hard times on planet Earth.
The penalty for rebellion against the Council is termination. But because of your heroic services as a warrior, you are exiled to the primitive planet Earth.
Marvin Cove, who you probably know from The Karate Kid and Rambo First Blood Part 2, will star in this TV show that would last 13 episodes. CBS would air this as a way to take viewers away from NBC's hit Unsolved Mysteries and ABC's hit Growing Pains. And I guess it didn't work. In this show, an alien warrior is exiled and sent to Earth as punishment. There, he starts to learn about humanity. There, he starts to learn about humanity with the help of a robot companion. So it's a love story between an alien who got sent to Earth and a robot. Well, that's a look at 20 failed science fiction shows of the 80s. And this is going to be a fun one to edit. Well, let me know. Did you remember these? Maybe you're like, oh, that was really good. They should have gave it a chance. Even though it only lasted 4 episodes, maybe you really fell in love with it. Some shows are like that. They just don't have a chance to really catch on to the audience, and networks just didn't give them time to find that audience. But a lot of this look like pure crap, let's be honest. Well, let me know that and more in the comments below.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.